The name alone conjures up images of grit, resilience, and pure determination. Known for his tenacity during the gold rush, Parker Schnabel faced innumerable dangers in his pursuit of fortune. But this time things are different. His life is in danger after a terrifying accident on site when everything went wrong. 210, 220, 280, 290, 300, 310.45. Yes, Big Red from Parker Schnabel's fearless journey in the gold mines to the shocking accident that changed everything. It was supposed to be another day of digging and another chance to strike gold, but instead Parker found himself in a nightmare that was about survival rather than gold, money, or success. For the first time, the fearless gold miner wasn't just fighting for profit, he was fighting for his life. What went wrong? How did one of the most experienced miners end up in such a dire situation? More importantly, will he ever be the same legacy of danger? To understand how Parker ended up here, you must know where he was born in the... While most kids spent their days playing video games, Parker Schnabel was learning the ropes of one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. By the age of 16, he was already leading a crew of their new teenage mine boss. Yes, you can operate the excavator, and Gary, you can operate the truck. Parker Schnabel was destined to be a miner from an early age. He was inspired by his grandfather, John Schnabel, a seasoned gold miner with deep roots in the Big Nugget mine. Parker's rise to fame on Gold Rush viewers witnessed Parker's transformation from a determined teenager to a respected veteran on Gold Rush. With each season, his ambitions grew larger, his risks increased, and his focus sharpened. He wasn't just another kid playing around with heavy machinery, but the recent accident forced him to face a harsh reality. No matter how much experience you have, the world of gold mining is unpredictable, and danger is always lurking around the corner. Going despite all the challenges, including harsh weather and personal loss, and although he became famous for his perseverance this season, the stakes were higher than ever before. Imagine a young man who was willing to risk everything for the excitement of gold. Parker wasn't just digging for money, he was digging for a legacy. However, in the world of gold mining, even the most seasoned miners are one bad day away from catastrophe. This season, Parker took his ambition to new heights, facing more intense competition and the perilous wilderness of a new mining site. But ambition comes at a price. The land was far away, the terrain was difficult, and the weather was harsh every day. Parker fought against nature to claim what lay beneath. But then there was a catastrophic collapse that sent shockwaves through his team and left Parker fighting for his life. The ground they were working on was unstable due to heavy rains, and one moment everything was under control. The next, a huge section of land gave way, trapping Parker and several crew members were in a life-threatening situation. When Parker had a brush with death, he was trapped and unable to move as the world around him collapsed, and his vehicle flipped, partially burying him under the debris. For a brief moment, it seemed like this might be the end, as the crew frantically tried to free Parker and the others. However, the collapse created a ticking time bomb, meaning that any mistake could cause more landslides, so they had to move quickly to save Parker. Their leader and rescue efforts started right away, but the unstable ground made every second crucial. Parker and his crew were trapped in the wreckage for hours, and their fate was uncertain. The rescue team had to weigh their desire to save lives against the possibility of making matters worse. Every moment seemed to drag on forever, and finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they arrived at Parker Schnabel, who had miraculously survived but was not unharmed. In the days that followed, Parker found himself considering his decisions for the first time, and wondering if the risks were worth it. Gold mining had always been his passion and his purpose, but this experience had forced him to face his own mortality. Broken ribs and a concussion were the least of his worries. As they pulled him from the wreckage, it was evident that the accident had taken more than just a physical toll. Parker acknowledged that he had previously been in danger, but this time it was different. It was life or death for someone who prided himself on his work ethic and resilience. The accident was a wake-up call. It changed him. And although he still dreams of striking gold, he's beginning to realize that some risks might not be worth it. Confront the reality of his lifestyle. Parker wasn't just going through a difficult season. He was facing a harsh truth about what he was willing to sacrifice. And even though the physical wounds would heal, the psychological scars would remain with him for a long time. Parker's lengthy road to recovery. Following the rescue, he was taken to the closest hospital, where medical professionals treated his broken ribs and concussion. Although his physical condition would improve, his mental state was unfamiliar to a man who had spent his entire career pushing the boundaries of risk. This near miss made him slow down and consider the cost of his ambition. As he lay in that hospital bed, Parker was forced to face a reality he had long ignored. Even the most driven people have limits. This time, his limits almost cost him his life. For years, Parker had been focused on a single objective: to extract as much gold as possible. However, the collapse revealed to him how harsh the environment could be. This wasn't just another obstacle to overcome, it was a wake-up call. Parker acknowledged that he and his crew had been pushing themselves to the limit. "I've always been about getting results," he admitted, but for the first time, he began to realize the risks. And he voluntarily accepted the fact that mining wasn't just about extracting gold. "These guys are like family to me," he said, his voice full of emotion, knowing that I could have lost them. This incident brought a harsh reality into focus, and he realized that he hadn't always maintained the weight of responsibility for Parker. It wasn't just about him, his crew depended on him for their livelihoods. And witnessing the fear in their eyes during the collapse changed something inside him. Simply affect his life, but also the lives of those who trusted him. He realized that he couldn't keep pushing everyone to the limit without taking into account the risks. So this wife plant, which has a lot more sand width, should boost our yardage and enable us to finish all the pay here at. We have to play Dominion in the money pit, which is a bit of a gamble because it's late in the season, and we're determined to change things. Parker started to see that success wasn't just about how much gold was taken, it was also about how he got there. He realized that he needed to be more cautious, because he couldn't keep pushing himself and his crew to the limit. Parker learned a valuable lesson from the accident, which gave him perspective that he hadn't had before the aftermath. Rebuilding wasn't easy, and his physical injuries prevented him from working at the mining site, and the psychological effects persisted long after he was released. Gold Rush fans noticed a different Parker after he returned from the hospital, one who was more measured and thoughtful in his approach, and who was determined to get back on his feet even if it meant moving more slowly. Parker's near-death experience sparked a crucial discussion among Gold Rush fans, who started to wonder about the moral implications of reality TV shows that push celebrities to their limits for the sake of drama and ratings. The dark side of gold mining. Parker's recent near-death experience serves as a sobering reminder of the dark side of gold mining, which includes everything from collapsing terrain to extreme weather. The price of these extreme situations was too high, and some fans expressed concerns, calling for the show to be more cautious in its filming methods. For Parker, the incident had brought a new awareness of these pressures, making him wonder if the show's format sometimes pushed him further than he was willing to go. The job is physically and mentally taxing for miners, who work long hours in remote areas, frequently far from medical assistance. The constant pressure to meet production targets only increases the risks, creating a high-stakes environment where mistakes can be fatal for Parker. This collapse was a brutal reminder that no amount of experience can completely protect miners from the unpredictable circumstances that miners face on a daily basis. This doesn't mean Parker is ready to give up on his dreams of mining. "Every dollar I would spend in Alaska probably goes like 5 times further here. And the gold don't give a gold doesn't care whether it's gold." Prior to the accident, Parker's focus was unbreakable gold and everything that mattered. However, as he lay in that hospital bed, his thoughts changed, making his health and the people he cared about more important than ever. In the months after the accident, Parker thought deeply about his life and his goals. He had always been driven by ambition, but now he realized that chasing his dreams didn't have to mean putting everything on the line. He's starting to approach those dreams with more caution, realizing that some risks might not be worth taking no matter how big the payoff finds in a balance. "I'm smarter about how I go after my dreams now." Gold Rush fans are left wondering what Parker's next move will be. Will he continue to push himself and his crew as hard as before? Or will he take a step back and focus on staying safe? Parker acknowledged that goals are just as important as the goals themselves. As he started to rebuild his career, Parker focused on finding a balance, a way to pursue his passion without sacrificing his life or the safety of his crew. It was a new challenge that would test his ability to adapt and grow. Parker is a resolute person who has faced difficult obstacles in the past, and this latest ordeal is no different. His fans know that he won't back down easily, but they're closely watching to see if he'll approach his next season with the same relentless drive or a newfound caution. The final question is whether Parker's most recent brush with death is simply part of the risks of gold mining, or is there something else at play? Only Parker can provide a deeper explanation, but it feels really strange. We've been searching for a big project for the past 5 years, and we've finally found one. I should be thrilled." And as he goes forward, fans will be watching to see if he can manage to keep his passion alive while staying safe. Will Parker Schnabel continue his relentless pursuit of gold, or will he finally realize the boundaries he must respect? Only time will tell Parker's new mining strategy after surviving a near-dead. While his crew has always admired Parker for his work ethic, they are now seeing a different side of him, a leader who understands the stakes. Someone who has been to the edge. Parker has a new perspective on the mining site, and his main focus is now on making sure that safety becomes an integral part of his operation. This means slowing down, taking the time to carefully evaluate each step, and putting his team's well-being above quick success. Parker Schnabel was known for years as the fearless miner who would do anything to find gold. He was relentless, driven by ambition and a desire to honor his family's legacy. However, after the accident, everything he thought he knew about himself came into question in the quiet solitude of the hospital. Parker faced a side of himself that he had rarely acknowledged: his vulnerability, lying in bed, his body. Parker returned with a deeper respect for the job, confronting mortality. Allure of gold and success had once seemed worth any price, but now he wondered if he'd been blinded by ambition. Fragmented and bruised, Parker was forced to face the reality of mortality, which he'd managed to ignore for the majority of his career. He thought about the risks he'd taken, the times he'd pushed himself and his crew to their limits, and how close he'd come to leaving it all behind. Those that stood with him, believed in him, and supported him. In the days after the accident, Parker became more reflective, because the accident wasn't just a physical setback, but also a mental and emotional one. He only needs 174 ounces to reach his 7,000 season goal, but with the money pit paying out big gold, it could deliver much more. Nevertheless, he had never stopped to think about how his decisions might affect them. This near-death experience wasn't just about his survival, it was about the impact of his decisions on those around him. For the first time, he asked himself what kind of legacy he really wanted to leave. After having an emotional awakening and realizing that he couldn't keep pushing himself without thinking about the consequences. This wasn't just about gold mining, it was about finding meaning beyond the pursuit of wealth and success. He recalled the stories his grandfather had told him about hard work, respect for the land, and a love for the process. His grandfather had instilled in him a passion for mining, but he had also taught him the importance of. As he recovered, Parker began to question whether he had forgotten those lessons in his unwavering quest for more gold, fame, and recognition. He decided to redefine his approach, which went beyond simply exercising caution at work, and included adopting a new philosophy. He understood that true strength wasn't about ignoring pain or fear, but rather about accepting it and learning from it. Mining would always be a part of his life, but he now wanted to pursue it in a way that honored both his grandfather's legacy and himself. And his newfound outlook on life, Parker realized that going forward, he would mine with purpose and continue to take calculated risks, mindful of the impact on himself and his team. For the first time, he realized that his value was not based on the gold he extracted or the fame he earned, but rather on the integrity and respect with which he approached his work. This experience had given him clarity and a renewed sense of purpose. Parker had faced death and, in doing so, found a path that more deeply resonated with his values. The impact on his crew. Parker's accident didn't just shake him, it left a lasting impression on his crew as well. These men and women depend on him not only as their leader, but also as a mentor. They've watched him persevere through hardship season after season, but this incident forced them all to face the risks of their profession. The gold would still be there, but now Parker had something more valuable, a commitment to live a life that truly mattered to him and to those who believed in him. Considering that you guys built it all yourself and from scratch, I'm impressed, because Parker Mining has always been more than just a job. It's a shared sense of responsibility. For many members of the team, being in such a vulnerable state was a turning point, because they realized that if someone as experienced as Parker could handle such a life-threatening situation, none of them were immune. This shared experience strengthened the bonds within the crew, making them a more cautious, cohesive team. Parker has always wanted to honor his grandfather's mining legacy by making a name for himself, but the accident made him rethink what legacy really means. Is it about accumulating wealth and gold, or is it about something more profound that has a lasting impact? Parker is now grappling with these questions, realizing that his legacy may be as much about the lives he touches as it is about the gold he finds on the surface. Shows like Gold Rush thrive on drama and high stakes, But Parker's accident has made him wonder how much he's willing to give up for entertainment. Although he appreciates the platform Gold Rush offers, he's starting to see the show's role in pushing minors to extremes for ratings. Parker's incident has sparked conversations among his fans about the ethics of reality TV, with some viewers calling for more transparency. Regarding the risks minors face for Parker, it's become evident that although the show has given him fame, it has also exposed him to risks that he might not have otherwise taken. Return to basics. After his near-death experience, Parker has started to scale back his mining strategy rather than continuously growing, concentrating on making sure that his operations are safe, sustainable, and consistent with the principles that first drew him to the field. He is no longer pursuing gold at beyond the physical injuries. The psychological toll of the accident has been profound. Mining has always been a mentally taxing job with long hours, isolated locations, and constant threats. But this experience has given Parker a new awareness of the mental strain. He is committed to doing things the right way for Parker, which means maintaining a smaller, tighter operation where he can control quality and safety, rather than endlessly pursuing larger, riskier ventures. Parker has become more vocal about the importance of mental resilience, understanding that a strong mindset is as critical as physical endurance in the mining industry. Parker has always been ambitious, but his accident forced him to face the cost of that ambition. He is realizing that constantly pushing himself and his team might have had unintended consequences. Parker has begun advocating for mental health awareness within his crew, encouraging them to take breaks and look out for each other. He has also started to understand that true leadership entails knowing when to back off, when to protect, and when to value life over profit. Parker is now focused on setting an example that shows ambition and responsibility can coexist. This experience has led him to adopt a more balanced approach, realizing that success doesn't have to come at the expense of his or his crew's well-being. Diego, what's happening? He's asking us to go to another point where they process the oh, very cool. Fans are eagerly awaiting his next move. He understands that he inspires young miners and adventure seekers, but he wants them to know that there is a darker side to the profession that isn't always depicted on television. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Parker shared his thoughts with fans about the risks of his career and urged aspiring miners to exercise caution. He knows his words have weight, and he hopes his experience will serve as a reminder to others that no amount of a new beginning. Despite his continued passion for mining, Parker's near-death experience has ushered in a new chapter in his life. He is determined to continue mining, but with a renewed commitment to safety, responsibility, and balance. This isn't the end for Parker, rather it's a transformation. He has managed to combine his love of mining with an appreciation for the unpredictability of the job. And as he looks to the future, he is more focused than ever on safeguarding his dream and his team. Fans of Gold Rush can anticipate seeing a more mature, grounded young man who is willing to take chances, but also understands the importance of taking a step back, reevaluating, and safeguarding what really matters. Parker Schnabel is still as driven as ever, but his focus has changed as a result of this accident, which reminded him that gold mining is ultimately about the journey, the people by his side, and the responsibility he bears.